WFM 91.7.
Good afternoon, and thank you so much for joining us once again. This is 6 minutes gone past 12 from this side of the radio. Welcome to the Big Question on Women Radio, WFM 91.7. The Big Question is a program where we discuss and provide solutions to issues affecting us as a nation and, of course, as citizens. The Big Question is broadcast on weekdays at 12:05 p.m. Do well to join the conversation by contributing or reacting to the Big Question. Of course, you can call 07000 917 917, or you can send us a WhatsApp message or text message on 0703 175 6537. And yes, you can also send in your contributions to our social media platforms on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube at WFM 917, or log on to our website at www.wfm917.com. Having said that, today on The Big Question, we will be discussing 16 days of activism on violence against women. Today marks the day 6 in the series of the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. The 16 days of activism campaign is an annual international movement aimed at addressing issues of violence against women and girls. The campaign actually began on Friday, 25th November. The International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women runs up until 10th of December, the Human Rights Day. Now, during the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence, we will review some organizations' achievements and, of course, strategies in the prevention and elimination of violence against women and girls. My guest for today is Ngozi Nwosujuba, Project Director, Vision Spring Initiatives. And, of course, we will be discussing 16 days of activism on violence against women. Good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon. How are you doing today?
I'm good, and you?
Very well, thank you. I think I must say this. Happy New Month to you.
Thank you. Same to you.
All right.
And hello, listener.
All right. Thank you so much for being a part of the conversation. Okay, so let's delve right into the conversation without further ado. Let me ask you, how would you rate our success as a country so far when it comes to battling violence against women?
Well, okay. I think that this period we will try our best not to just agonize, but also to take stock of what has been happening, positively. So 2 days ago, I was at a program organized by Lagos State government where they're giving grants to organizations, civil society organizations, to work on the sustainable development goals. And for me, that's something very positive that we must celebrate. And so I know also that there are a lot happening, positively that we need to acknowledge. Even the fact that these days we hear about someone has abused a child and then we run collectively, maybe through the Child Protection Network or through radio and television programs. That person that has violated the right is then taken to either a police station and then goes to court. Those are achievements that we must acknowledge. We must acknowledge the work of civil society organizations. We must acknowledge the work of organizations such as yours, like Women Radio, that exclusively, speaks about the issues that affect women. We must speak about Lagos State government that has been very, very, proactive.
Okay.
Ensuring that we have agencies. We have this. We moved from the domestic and sexual response team to domestic and sexual response. Agency, so the government of Lagos State prioritized, ending violence against women and girls. And just 3 days ago, we learned that Abia State government has passed a law for women to begin to inherit. This is a huge one. Considering the fact that this has been an ongoing conversation, about how women cannot inherit their fathers, how women cannot inherit their husbands. Many widows are thrown out. Immediately their partners die. Even in situations where the woman is even somehow the breadwinner, and guilt to home. If anything goes wrong, the woman is thrown out by family members who do not know how they got to where they are. And so for me, I'd like to start on a positive note to say that there are gains that we can, ride on to achieve more. But of course, we are not yet there. Yes.
All right. Thank you so much for that one, Ngozi. I do appreciate you. So let's talk about your organization for a moment. What measures has your organization put in place to support the fight against ending violence against women?
Okay, so our organization works, to actually end, to ensure gender justice.
Okay.
So the strong thing that we do is ensure that women and girls, their rights are protected. So we always pride ourselves to say our work is mostly about curbing, building knowledge of women and girls so that they're not even abused in the first place. So our interventions are preventive. So in the last 1 year, we've held series of leadership and empowerment training for women and girls, where we are building their knowledge on what their rights are. Because we found that if young people have information about their rights, then it's easier for them, to resist abuse. So if a young girl knows about bodily autonomy, for instance, we have young women that we have trained, about 30 of them, who go to schools every week. We just graduated about 200 children, young children from 2 schools in Koshefe 1 in Ikorodu. It was a big event where the Lagos State Ministry for Women Affairs and Social Justice came, and awarded those schools who allowed us to be part of their program. That kind of thing, we empower young people. We have manuals we use to conduct trainings that we call leadership training, where girls are seeing themselves as leaders and not sex toys, and so they become empowered to the point that they can challenge abuses. We teach them something as little as you do not have to rely on a boy for a recharge card, for instance, because some girls have been abused because of Coca-Cola or Fanta, because they do not know their self-esteem, they do not know their self-worth. And so we work at the intersection of ensuring that young people have knowledge, and women also, about what their rights are. And then, of course, another part of work that we do is to collaborate with the other agencies. So it's important that we avoid making sure that abuse does not happen. But when it happens, what should happen? So we partner with DSVRT, we partner with your radio. We had a program with your radio that we called Shrinking Civic Space, how we're going to work to ensure that the civic space remains open so that the government does not begin to brutalize us, as an excuse that they are curbing insurgency and all that. That was a partnership with your agency. And then, of course, we partner with Ward Free and many other organizations who even provide shelter for women. So if we get reports, we do the first counseling, and then we refer women to those agencies that provide such services. That's our work in a nutshell.
All right. Thank you very much for that one, Ngozi. I do appreciate you. This is 14 minutes gone past 12 from this side of the radio. If you're joining us right about now, you are listening to The Big Question on WFM 91.7. My name is Blessing Agbeto, and my guest for today is Ngozi Nwosu-Juba, the Project Director, Vision Spring Initiatives. And of course, today we are discussing in line with the 16 days of activism on violence against women. Now, Ngozi, let me come back to you. But just before then, if you want to be a part of the conversation, you can call 07000 917 917, or better still, you send a WhatsApp or text message to 0703 175 6537. Now, Ngozi, let me ask you this one. What more do you hope to do? I mean, you've told us all the things that you've done so far. So what more do you hope to do as an organization as part of the struggle to end gender-based violence?
Okay, so the education continues. One of the things that we are doing in 2023 is a 3-year project that we are doing with an agency called HIVOS, is to build the capacity of now we are building, in the last 7 years or more, we've built the capacity of our right holders, that's young people, women and girls.
Okay.
Now we are looking at building capacity of people we call duty bearers. Those are lawmakers. Those are policymakers. Those are religious and traditional rulers. Those are school teachers. So in 2023, we are having series of trainings with health providers, because we had a project where people living with disability, and then people with disabilities, and then young women with HIV told us that that nurses do not think that they have rights to their bodies, that they have rights to sexuality information because they are either living with disability or because they are living with HIV. And so one of the things we are doing in 2023, in fact, we are starting to train it in January, is to do what we call value clarification and attitude change training for healthcare providers to understand that when you are providing healthcare service, you are not providing your personal opinion. You are not presenting what the religion says. You're not representing what the culture says. You are working based on human rights. And human rights entails that all people have information. Nigeria, for instance, signed the ICPD, the International Conference on Population and Development, many years ago. We are signatory to the CEDAW. We are signatory to many other African Charter and the rest of them. Yeah? So those documents speak about giving people information to be able to make informed choices about sexuality, about their bodies, about their decisions that they make. So we are looking at building capacity of healthcare providers because we receive lots of complaints that they forget what they should do. So for instance, if they're supposed to counsel young people on sexuality or contraceptive use, they leave it and start praying to them for them, bring their religious bias or cultural bias. Our religion is against this and that. So that's what we are doing from January to June to ensure that they build their knowledge on what we call clarifying value for them. And then also we are also doing the same thing with religious leaders also, where we're also empowering them to see that there's a difference between what their beliefs are and then what the law says. Because every nation, every society is built on the law. That's why Nigeria has a constitution, that our 1999 constitution supersedes any other ideas we have, even the other laws that we have in the penal and the criminal code. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Ngozi, for that one. But I'm kind of inquisitive. What would you term your challenges? What would you term as your challenges as an organization that has hindered your advocacy at some point?
Okay, so I would start from one of the things that even happened like yesterday when we have a case of a child has been abused or a child has been abused. And then you find that the parents are very, very ambitious and saying, oh, we don't want this to happen. And then you've counseled them, you've told them that this is an abuse of the rights of the child. And then you're telling them these are the actions that you can take to ensure that this does not happen anymore. And they're like, yes, we are with you. Let's go. And then you set in motion, action from reporting to police, looking at charging this case and all that. And then the parents come back to you or the guardian come back to you and they're like, no, we don't want this. Let's settle it in our community. This man is our neighbor. This is our church member. This is our mosque member. Let's see how we can settle out of this. After, if we go to court, how are we going to be neighbors? That has been the major issue. And I'm assuring you, this is not just Vision Spring Initiative. This is a common problem that many civil society organizations have. And that has increased impunity on the side of abusers. They know that these people are going to get tired, or if we threaten them, they are going to give up. That's the major challenge. Of course, the other one, is finance. It's never enough, to be able to do what we need to do. But with the pandemic, we've learned to do a lot of work online, yeah? With the pandemic, we've learned to do a lot of activities online, even the radio program now. I used to come into your studio to be interviewed, but these days, do it from phone. We do it online and things like that. So that has somehow reduced cost, So we need more advanced technology. The Zoom is there for us, but, it's a bit problematic, especially when you have to, go to conferences abroad and you have to, do it from home. It's never the same thing. That has kind of made us activists to be a little bit backward. I remember those days that we rely a lot on protests and we got lots of changes. But these days we rely a lot on social media, and that has kind of made us a little bit weak in advocating for issues. So, for instance, 2 days ago, a woman in politics was murdered in Kaduna.
Yes,
usually
very
would have been on the
pathetic.
street now, But social media, we just keep on, we write a statement, and then the people we are writing statements to government people really don't care about us. So those are some of the challenges that I think that we're having as an organization. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Ngozi, for that one. I do appreciate you. 0703-175-6537. That is how to send in your message to be a part of the conversation. You can also call 07000-917-917. This is Panorama on WFM 91.7. And the time is 20 minutes gone past 12 from the side of the radio. My guest for today is the Ngozi Nwosu-Juba, Project Director, Vision Spring Initiatives. And of course, we have been discussing 16 days of activism on violence against women. So, Ngozi, are there stakeholders that you think we haven't engaged enough using the area of expertise and influence to pass the message and spread the advocacy of ending violence against women and girls?
Sorry, I'm not sure I got that.
Okay, so are there other stakeholders that you think we haven't engaged enough, to just get their area of expertise to spread the advocacy of ending violence against women and girls?
Oh, okay, yes, definitely. Yes, I think that For me, I would say, well, we've been doing a lot of talk about religious and traditional rulers. But the thing I am worried about is when we even, have this our advocacy plans. What do we really tell them? Do you understand?
Yes.
How do we present our message? Because I know that we've invested a lot on religious and traditional rulers, but I do not think that much change has happened in that regard. Because we see that. Not a lot has shifted, from what we expect from them. By now, I expect that religious leaders should make a demarcation between faith and what the law says, yeah? But that is not happening the way it should. And so I think that we should engage them more, but we have to be intentional about what we are engaging them on. And also when we are having that message, we create our message in such a way that it's clear that there's a difference between what our faith says and what the law says. So that we don't find a situation where a person, a so-called man of God, abuses a young person and people are saying, touch not my anointed. That's so annoying. For me, that the message hasn't gotten to where it should go to. And also our leaders also, like the ministers that we have and the rest of them, I do not think that they have adequate time to listen to us. So recently there was an issue for which we even went on demand change on we went to change.org, where the minister is saying that they want to withdraw sex education from the curriculum of any RDC, and we're like, where was the minister when this document was produced? What was his input? Was he not consulted? How are we in this century talking about removing sex education, Because we know that we've done a lot of work over the years, watering it down to the level of, okay, let it be for specific target group, let the message meet the people based on their cultures and their religion. We've done all that. So how are we in this century talking about scrapping sex education? Do you understand? Even with what is happening all around us, we are saying that we should leave this responsibility to religious leaders and parents. Parents that are hardly at home, parents who jump out as early as 5 a.m. and they take the children to school. When do they have time to have these conversations? Religious leaders, a lot of them have been found guilty of abusing young people. How do you give them this responsibility? And how is it that the school that has this responsibility is not even mentioned as the people that should provide information? So we have a lot of work to do with our ministers, with our religious leaders, both faith. Yeah, I think so.
All right, thank you so much for that one. I do appreciate you, Ngozi. Now, let's talk about this one as well. What kind of support is provided? In your analysis, you mentioned, helping children and all of that, and people who have been victims of abuse in one way or the other. So what kind of support is provided for survivors by your organization?
For survivors, okay.
Yes.
So, as I said, our work actually focuses a lot on prevention.
Okay.
So when we have cases of we find survivors, what we do is do first like what we call first aid counseling, and then we send to organizations such as PSVRT, we send to Child Protection Network, because they are more coordinated, to be able to carry out interventions. We do not deal with direct interventions of maybe doing deep psychosocial or medical analysis. We do not do that. We focus a lot on prevention, and then we do a lot of what we call counseling and then referral in terms of survivors. And then, of course, we follow up to ensure that people we are supporting, that they get the justice that they deserve.
All right, thank you so much for that one. 24 minutes gone past 12 from this side of the radio. If you are just joining the conversation, this is The Big Question on WFM 91.7. And of course, you can join the conversation via our website, www.wfm917.com. You can call the studio line, 07000 917 917, or send a WhatsApp message to 0703 175 6537. My name is Blessing Agbeson, and my guest for today is Ngozi Nwosu-Juba. She is a project director of Vision Spring Initiatives, and we're having this conversation in commemoration of the 16 days of activism on violence against women. Now, I'm going to also like to ask you this question, Ngozi. You know that most times when women and, girls are victims of violence, when you ask them, most times we find it difficult to see them in the society, come forward to say, okay, this is what they are going through. It will take them like a long time before they would summon the courage to say, okay, I've been abused, I'm going through this stuff, somebody has taken over my husband's property from me. You get what I'm saying? So how can we encourage women and girls to speak up in the case of violence?
So thank you. That's actually how I described our work, that we like to build capacities of people to use their voices to speak for themselves, so that they don't even begin to. I remember many years ago, a woman called me and said the husband just passed. She's in Abuja, and the husband just passed. And then there are all kinds of. The first thing was the family was asking her for the husband's ATM. And then we said to her, this information is not something that you should give at this time. If we had met her earlier on, we would have prepared her to know that, okay, this man is dead. Or even before the death, you would have, there should have been insistence on something like will, so that the family will not descend on you immediately the man dies. And so women, they're part of this culture where we are taught lots of respect, where we are socialized that we not to speak as women, And so this is what happens. And most times, before now, when we report cases, because of attitude of some police officers, nothing comes out of it. So women tend to shrink back. So it's been a lot of, and that was how I started. That's one of the challenges we're still having. Women are afraid to speak. Women have not gained their voices to the point that they can insist and say, I want what they call it, I want justice. I remember last month someone approached me and said, because we've been talking about inheritance, when River State passed the law of inheritance, someone said to me, can you be on radio or television to speak about your do you know anyone who has suffered from this kind of violence? Because it's violence. When somebody's father dies, they can't inherit, you can't inherit your husband. Do I know someone who has suffered this? And I said to them, yes, I'm a survivor. I lost my father, and the little property that we had, my senior brother took everything. And I said to the radio station, I am ready to tell my story. I'm ready to share pictures of myself. So we will have to get to that level where women are ready to tell their stories, so that they can help other women who are suffering to get out of problem, to raise women's voices, to be able to speak and not be shy, afraid to speak about the violence that happens to them. By the time, we had this Me Too movement, remember in the US. It's because one woman spoke up and another person there, Me Too, and Me Too, I'm here. It happened to me. These are the things that we can't get it until we build women's capacity to come out of this patriarchal background that we have, that we cannot speak, or men have to speak on our behalf. There are places that you go to till tomorrow in northern Nigeria that women have to speak through their husbands, But it's just awareness that have to change all that. We need to keep building awareness of women and help them to gain their voices.
Thank you so much, Ngozi, for that one. I do appreciate you. Now, let's talk for a minute about government and, what government is doing to ensure that we bring the violence against women and girls to the barest minimum. What are we supposed to expect from the government, or what is the role of government in this?
So the government, we call them duty bearers. They have the entire responsibility. We have the Constitution where they have told us clearly their role. There's Chapter 4 of the Constitution that talks about how we have fundamental human rights. Government is supposed to use that chapter to ensure the protection of citizens. But it depends from state to state. Governments are doing different things, and I always like to acknowledge Lagos State because I know that they don't joke with issues of ending violence against women and girls. We turned from DSVR to DSVR. We have an agency that if you report a matter now, they swing into action, And so, but we don't have it in all the states, We still have 2 states. I can't remember the second one. I don't know if it's Kano and Zamfara, that are still having issues passing the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act into law in their states. What does that mean? Is it that these states are telling me that they like people being violated? It doesn't make sense. And so it's different in different states. Some states are really forward-looking, and then also some other states still have a lot of work to do. I was in Abia State recently. They've passed the inheritance law. My organization is working with the states to come up with a VAP action plan, because you've passed the VAP law. After that, How are you monitoring? What agencies do you have on ground to ensure, that if abuse happens, that it's reported to appropriate authorities, that there are shelters to take the abused persons to, that there are police who have knowledge that they will not say, no, you cause I'm waiting, you will wear that away, and stuff like that. We need to have that coordinated approach to responding to violence against women and girls. So, to some extent, some states are way above others, while some other states still have a long way to go. Yeah.
All right, thank you so much for that one. Just as we tilt towards the end of the conversation, I would like to ask you this one. We've been talking about, voicing out, saying something so that other women can be encouraged to say something as well. I will want to ask you this one. I would like to ask you this one. For women or for girls going through this particular phase who do not, have the strength to come out to say something about it, what would you like to say to them?
And so it's not going to be magic. I would even speak to other civil society organizations that we need to intensify our efforts. We need to intensify our efforts to help women to gain their voices. We need to do a lot of work around helping young people also, because young people, have come to show that, especially in my organization, 90% of the organization members are young people, and I see how they work very hard to create message and information about ending violence against women and girls. We need to have more organizations that are investing in young people, and then holding the hands of even younger people that are in secondary. A lot is happening in secondary schools, I must tell you. I went to a secondary school, I don't want to mention the state, and we were talking about sexuality rights, and the teacher said to me, please don't talk to them about sexuality rights. We're in Christian school, they don't know these issues. Yeah, I said, fine. And so we started talking to them about budgets and budgetary allocation. And then along the line, I said to them, does anybody know the meaning of sex? And then at the end of the section, a young girl came to me and said to me, Auntie, please, I want to ask you, there's a boy that I did blood covenant with. We took each other's blood, that we would never, this is secondary school, we will not leave each other. But I'm feeling that, what if I grow up and I don't want to marry him? What will happen to me? So people don't understand when you talk about sexuality education, that it's not about sex. It's about this information that allows these children not to even do this kind of thing.
In the first place.
In secondary school. Yeah? And so that's why this information is so critical. Young people in secondary schools, we should target them. We just trained, I told you, 200 young people. In the process of all that, you don't want to know what we found. We had a Pandora box where we tell them to anonymously drop their questions. You won't believe what these children are dropping. Some have been abused by their father. Some of them are abused by police officers. Some of them, their mothers know they have been abused, and they told them, shut up.
So keep quiet.
You are not the first one. Nobody will marry you if you speak. Yeah? A lot. And boys even are also abused,
All right. Thank you very much, Ngozi, for that one, for the enlightenment thus far. I do appreciate you. And I just want to say well done for all the good things you are doing to ensure that the society remains safe for women and girls. Well, just before I let you go, I would like you to make a commitment on behalf of your organization.
My organization? Okay, so... we recently won an award from Lagos State Government from the Ministry for Women Affairs, and then what we said in our message to them was that we have been strengthened and we pledge and commit to even do more.
All right.
And so today I'm making that a commitment that we will do more, and I want to thank you for allowing us to speak about our work on Women Radio.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Do well to enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you, and you too.
All right, there you have it from Ngozi Nwosujuba, the project director, Vision Spring Initiatives. We hope that you've been able to pick one or two things from the conversation for today. The big question is the program where we discuss and provide solutions to issues affecting us as a nation and as citizens. Remember that conversations like this don't end here. We must continue to raise awareness on issues, continue to speak about the problem, and most importantly, provide solutions to it. Remember to continue to be a patriotic Nigerian. My name is Blessing Agbeton. Good afternoon.
WFM 91.7.